Now, that means we've got to grow our economy and create more good jobs. It means we've got to equip every American with the skills and the training to fill those jobs. And it means we've got to rebuild ladders of opportunity for everybody willing to climb them. Now, that starts at home. There's no more important ingredient for success, nothing that would be more important for us reducing violence than strong. Stable families, which means we should do more to promote marriage and encourage fatherhood. Don't get me wrong, as the son of a single mom, who gave everything she had to raise me with the help of my grandparents, I turned out okay. But no, but I think it's so we've got single moms out here. They're heroic in what they're doing and we are so proud of them. But at the same time, I wish I had had a father who was around and involved. Loving, supportive parents, and, by the way, that's all kinds of parents, that includes foster parents. And that includes grandparents, and extended families, it includes gay or straight parents. Those parents supporting kids, that's the single most important thing. Unconditional love for your child, that makes a difference. If a child grows up with parents who have work, and have some education, and can be role models, and can teach integrity and responsibility and discipline and delayed gratification, all those things, give a child the kind of foundation that allows them to say, my future, I can make it what I want. And we've got to make sure that every child has that, and in some cases, We may have to fill the gap and the void if children don't have that. So we should encourage marriage by removing the financial disincentives for couples. Who love one another but may find it financially disadvantageous if they get married. We should reform our child support laws to get more men working and engaged with their children. And my administration will continue to work with the faith community and the private sector this year on a campaign to encourage strong parenting and fatherhood. Because what makes you a man is not the ability to make a child, it's the courage to raise one. We also know, though, that there is no surer path to success in the middle class than a good education. And what we now know is that has to begin in the earliest years. Study after study shows that the earlier a child starts learning, the more likely they are to succeed, the more likely they are to do well at Hyde Park Academy, the more likely they are to graduate. The more likely they are to get a good job. The more likely they are to form stable families and then be able to raise children themselves who get off to a good start. Chicago already has a competition, thanks to what the mayor is doing. That rewards the best preschools in the city, so Ram has already prioritized this. But what I've also done is say, let's give every child across America access to high quality. Public preschool. Every child, not just some. Every dollar we put into early childhood education. Can save $7 down the road by boosting graduation rates, reducing teen pregnancy, reducing violent crime. Reducing the welfare rolls, making sure that folks who have work, now they're paying taxes. All this stuff pays back huge dividends if we make the investment. So let's make this happen. Let's make sure every child has the chance they deserve. As kids go through school, we'll recruit new math and science teachers. To make sure that they've got the skills that the future demands. We'll help more young people in low-income neighborhoods get summer jobs. We'll redesign our high schools and encourage our kids to stay in high school. So that the diploma they get leads directly to a good job once they graduate. Right here in Chicago, 5 new high schools have partnered with companies and community. Colleges to prepare our kids with the skills that businesses are looking for right now. And your College to Careers program helps community college students get access. To the same kinds of real-world experiences. So we know what works. Let's just do. It in more places. Let's reach more young people. Let's give more kids a chance. So we know how important families are. We know how important education is. We recognize that government alone can't. Solve these problems of violence and poverty, that everybody has to be involved. But we also have to remember that the broader economic environment of communities is critical as well. For example, we need to make sure that folks who are working now, often in the hardest jobs, see their work rewarded with wages that allow them to raise a family without falling into poverty. Today, a family with 2 kids that works hard and relies on a minimum wage salary still lives below the poverty line. That's wrong, and we should fix it. We should reward an honest day's work with honest wages. And that's why we should raise the minimum wage to $9 an hour and make it a wage you can live on. And even though some cities have bounced back pretty quickly from the recession, we know that there are communities and neighborhoods within cities or in small towns that haven't bounced back. Cities like Chicago are ringed with former factory towns that never came back, all the way from plants packing up. There are pockets of poverty where young adults are still looking for their first job. And that's why on Tuesday I announced, and that's part of what I want to focus on here. In Chicago and across the country is my intention to partner with 20 of the hardest hit communities in America to get them back in the game, get them back in the game. First, we'll work with local leaders to cut through red tape. And improve things like public safety and education and housing. And we'll bring all the resources to bear in a coordinated fashion so that we can get that tipping. Point where suddenly a community starts feeling like things are changing and we can come back. Second of all, if you're willing to play a role in a child's education, then we'll help you reform your schools. We want to seed more and more partnerships of the kind that Ram is trying to set up. Third, we're going to help bring jobs and growth to hard-hit neighborhoods by giving tax breaks to business owners who invest and hire in those neighborhoods. Fourth, and specific to the issue of violence because it's very hard to develop economically if people don't feel safe. If they don't feel like they can walk down the street and shop at a store without getting hit overhead or worse. Then commerce dries up, businesses don't want to locate, families move out, you get into the wrong cycle. So we're going to target neighborhoods struggling to deal with violent crime. And help them reduce that violence in ways that have been proven to work. And I know this is a priority of your mayors, it's going to be a priority of mine. And finally, we're going to keep working in communities all across the country. Including here in Chicago, to replace rundown public housing that doesn't offer much hope or safety with new. Healthy homes for low and moderate income families. And here in Woodlawn, you've seen some of the progress that we can make when we come. Together to rebuild our neighborhoods, and attract new businesses, and improve our schools. Woodlawn is not all the way where it needs to be. But thanks to wonderful institutions like Apostolic Church, we've made great progress. So we want to help more communities follow your example. And let's go even farther by offering incentives to companies that hire unemployed. Americans who have got what it takes to fill a job opening. But they may have been out of work so long that nobody is willing to give them a chance right now. Let's put our people back to work rebuilding vacant homes in need of repair. Young people can get experience apprenticeships, learn a trade. and we're removing blight from our community. If we gather together what works, we can extend more ladders of opportunity. For anybody who's working to build a strong, middle-class life for themselves. Because in America, your destiny shouldn't be determined by where you live, where you were born. It should be determined by how big you're willing to dream. How much effort and sweat and tears you're willing to put into realizing that dream. When I first moved to Chicago before any of the students in this room were born and a whole lot of people. Who are in the audience remember me from those days. I lived in a community on the south side right up the block. But I also worked further south where communities had been devastated by some of the steel plants closing. And my job was to work with churches and lay people and local leaders to rebuild neighborhoods. And improve schools, and help young people who felt like they had nowhere to turn. And those of you who worked with me, Reverend Love, you remember, it wasn't easy. Progress didn't come quickly. Sometimes I got so discouraged I thought about just giving up. But what kept me going was the belief that with enough determination and effort and persistence and perseverance, change is always possible, that we may not be able to help everybody. But if we help a few, then that propels progress forward. We may not be able to save every child from gun violence. But if we save a few, that starts changing the atmosphere in our communities. We may not be able to get everybody a job right away, but if we get a few folks a job, then everybody starts feeling a little more hopeful and a little more encouraged. neighborhood by neighborhood, one block by one block, one family at a time.